Rachel, thanks so much for checking out Nicole's Book Bash. I am excited to share some books with you. I wanted to say thank you so much for teaching. Second grade is such a wonderful age. I'm actually a homeschooler right now who's working with a second grader. And I also have, I taught middle and high school science and math for 10 years. So I also have the experience with that side of things. I'm actually coming to you through my vision as an elementary school educational consultant with Usborne Books and More though today, because I really want to get some books into your hands that are going to be beneficial in your classroom and for your students. So with that being said, we're going to chat a little bit about reading first, because one of the things that I'm asked most by my first and second grade teachers is what can I do to help with reading with my students to either remediate or to really help them to get a sound beginning where they're struggling. So one of the things that I have a lot of second grade teachers get is our phonics readers, because by the second grade, they should be fluently reading these, and sometimes they're not. And so having books on hand that will help them that are slightly less than what they could be reading, maybe they're fluently reading other things that are really easy, but they're just not getting some concepts of phonics. And so I love our phonics readers. This is Hyena Ballerina. They are super simple, easy books to read. This is actually one of my favorites. I think that I'm ready to prove I can move in my frilly pink silk tutu and pink satin shoes. Swan brings them together. Let's see what you've got. Hyena springs forward and spins on the spot. This is my daughter's favorite, so this one is actually a little bit beat up right now. She takes this thing everywhere. But this book is actually one of my favorites to read aloud as well. So it's a great one to work with. I love that in the beginning of these books, in the end of these books, it has an About Phonics section that's going to tell you what sounds it's working on, but they're really great for fluency. My son is reading these just for fluency practice, so I love that. So Uniforms and Uniforms and Other Tales is one of our collected volumes, which is fantastic for savings. These guys are $6.99 a piece. You can get them in a box set where they become about $3 a piece, or you can get them here, which is we have 3 of these combined volumes, and they are phenomenal, all of the different stories that are in there. And what's great about these, they have comprehension practice in the back, so little puzzles to help keep them on their toes about what they're learning. And then, of course, the other thing, there's 6 of them and they're $14.99. So it's great. So there's 6 stories in here for $14.99. I love the value of that one. Okay, another one that I have a lot of second grade teachers purchase is our Read with Usborne series. We have 4 levels. They line up a little bit differently than how they line up in the in other leveling systems. But I will say, you can see that leveling system in the party. I actually shared it in the comments. But these are phenomenal. This is going to be essentially a step to chapter books. And a lot of times what I see, because chapter books tend to have a wall of text, what I see a lot of my first and second grade teachers saying is, I have students who are ready for chapter books, but they're terrified of chapter books, especially my elementary school librarians. They're always like, I need something that's going to step them up to the chapter book level. And we have several of them in this level 4. Black Beauty is just one of them. Level 3 is actually going to be for confident readers. It really helps them to develop that fluency. It's a longer little book. And of course, it's got a lot of words in it, but it's a lot of fun to read. 2, which you may have some that you're remediating that are level 2s, which is for developing readers still. It's going to have quite a few words, but it's going to be, again, that fluency practice. And then, of course, level 1 is going to be for those starting out to read they're beginning readers. They already have the concepts down. They're just now reading the material. I can tell you that the backs of levels 1 and 2 also have the comprehension. We do that a lot in our home because it's so important for me to make sure that my son is comprehending what he's reading. Okay. The most popular one that I have for my second grade teachers is actually our Nonfiction beginner series. I've actually been able to supply several schools in our area. I live in Rockwell, but I lived in Mooresville, and several schools in Mooresville and Huntersville area actually have complete classroom sets of all of the beginning readers or beginning nonfiction that we have. So this is the beginners nonfiction series. You can see beginners up here. I love, love, love these. These are high picture to text ratio. The material is at least on a third grade level, but the reading is lower. So it teaches material up here and it presents it in a way that kids can understand down here. I have teachers going crazy over these because essentially what they're doing is they're giving great research value. So for second graders, when they're starting their little research projects, one of the things that they always pull are these because it's something they can read easily by themselves, but the material is something up here. So I love, love, love that. It's actually one of the things that got me involved with Usborne Books and More. As a teacher, I really valued that I didn't have to really second guess some of the things that they were taught. So for instance, one of the books that I picked up from the library last year when we were teaching seeds had some misinformation on seeds. I actually have a master's in plant pathology and an undergraduate degree in botany. So that really bugged me. I was like, no, that's not right. I don't like that. And it turns out that a lot of elementary school books have the material that that one book had. And I was like, no, I was so upset about it because I couldn't find a good source. Well, I pulled out an Usborne book and in fact it had it correct. And I love that they really focus on making sure the material is exactly what it needs to be and doesn't dumb down the material for the younger kids. So the beginner's nonfiction is fantastic. It's one of my favorites. Okay, chapter books, those beginning chapter books, which have 50 words or less per page. These are great character building books. I love the Billy B and Hey Jack series. There's so many in that series. And then you have up to things like Bear Grylls Adventures. I love these because they are character building. Kids love to grab them because it's Bear Grylls and survivalism and all that kind of stuff. But what I love about them is, yes, it is survival because Bear Grylls, they travel back to wherever Bear Grylls is. One person at a time travels back to wherever Bear Grylls is, and they get stuck in a situation where they have to get out of it with him. And one of the things that develops is their character because they may have had something that was a character flaw, like they weren't good with teamwork or something like that. And then ultimately they overcome that. They learn to work together with someone else for this book. So very, very cool. Okay, a couple more resources. I'm not exactly sure what you're teaching in second grade because school districts do change a little bit here and there. Some of the ones that we've had recently purchased, Lift the Flap, adding and subtracting, also Lift the Flap times tables. Both of those are phenomenal. We actually use the times tables. My son is 3rd and 4th grade math right now, and we actually use times tables and then our Lift the Flap, multiply and dividing. My son used this in 1st grade, but this actually goes up to 2nd grade, addition and subtraction. I love that it breaks things down into small pieces, and it's a great way to remediate students. So when I tutored, I used to get a ton of kids who would come into my tutoring, and they were really deficient in fractions and decimals. That's the big one. Fractions and decimals, they're always somewhat down on. And so I would pull out the Lift the Flat Fractions and Decimals book, and we would go through it, and a light bulb clicked. And it clicks because it's bright, colorful, but everything is visual, and it also helps them to really understand the steps as they're looking through the book. So it does a great way of breaking it down for them. Love, love, love that. Last but not least, I wanted to share this one with you. We have a ton of history books. This is probably one of my favorites that's new. This is History Uncovered the USA. What it does is it actually takes you through what the US looked like from pre-revolution all the way through the different time periods. And it does so by having this cutout. It is so phenomenal. I love this one. It's so much fun. So check this out. This is History of the USA. I hope these help. We'll see you soon.